Hi, thanks so much for joining in. You're watching BQ Prime. My name is Alex Matthew, and this is a conversation with the management of the company that has reported its numbers not too long back. I'm talking about BEML. I'm joined by the CMD, Shantanu Roy. Mr. Roy, thanks so much for joining us and for speaking to us about both the quarter gone by as well as the outlook for the remainder of the year. Let's start with the numbers that you've reported for the second quarter, because you've seen a more than 3x jump in the PAT number, and I believe one of the factors that has led to that is an expansion in the margins. Is a large part of this expansion in the margins on account of raw materials, or is there more at play here?
Well, Alex, the growth in the profit is a function of several things. And, the raw material price as such is yet to, the dip in the raw material price, we are yet to get an impact on it, because the second quarter already we had placed the orders. So the reasons that I can understand is responsible for this growth in PAT is, number one is the growth in sales revenue. It grew by almost 14%. It is more by around 14% as compared to the sales revenue, which was there last year. Second is the reduction in inventory. The inventory has gone down by 6%. Third is the reduction in the employee cost, which is 2% less as compared to what it was around the same time last year. The fourth reason is, of course, the material consumption. It is down by around 6 to 7%. So all these factors have contributed to the growth in the increased profits. And as we further enhance our revenue, our sales revenue, whereas, keeping the other factors down, definitely the profit or the EBITDA margin is further expected to go up.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get into that in just a bit. But speaking of that revenue number, I think it's also a factor of the kind of orders that you've gotten. So why don't you give us an update on where the order book stands currently and what the kind of wins were during the quarter? If you can also splice that order book for us and tell us which segments allocate to a large chunk of the orders currently.
You see, in the current financial year till September, we have secured around 5,700 crores of orders. Majority of it has come from the rail metro, with the defense contributing to around 20% of that, and mining and construction has also contributed. As on date, our order book is around 13,000 crores, out of which rail and metro makes up around 50-55%, defense makes up around 35%, and mining makes up around 10 to 12%. If I look at the further order prospects for us in the current year, we are expecting around 500 to 600 crores more of orders from the defense. Mining construction, we will secure at least 1,200 to 1,500 crores of orders. And rail and metro, I'm looking at around 3,000 to 4,000 crores of order in the coming 4-5 months. So with basically the breakdown of the order book will be approximately 55% rail metro, around 30-35% defense, and around 10 to 12% mining. And mining is one such vertical where the turnaround time is pretty less. Normally we are able to execute an order within a span of 6 months. So that is how the scenario is, and it looks pretty promising to us. On top of this, the export segment is also doing pretty well.
Okay, what can you tell us about the export segment, sir? And what percentage of the order book is currently export oriented?
You see, presently we have an export order book, a physical export order book of around 200 crores with us. And the entire portfolio is from mining and construction. From 2019-20, when we had a physical export number of 14 crores to 178 crores of physical export revenue sales that we did last year, it has been a quantum jump. And this year also, we are expecting at least a 50% growth in physical export sales. At the same time, if we consider the deemed exports as well, deemed exports with physical exports will make up around 20% of the total revenue of the company. As far as the physical exports are concerned, the orders that we have are from ASEAN and from the erstwhile CIS countries. The future orders that we are looking at in the current financial year is again from the erstwhile CIS, some small orders from the ASEAN region, and some orders from the Middle East and Africa as well.
Okay. Mr. Roy, you've given us a very clear breakup of where the order book currently stands, around 13,000 crore. Another 5,000 crore, if I'm correct, based on what you've told us, is expected in the second half also coming through. Could you give us the execution trajectory? Because I'm looking at the Q1, and while on a year-on-year basis the loss has narrowed, I think you faced a little bit of a challenge on execution in the first quarter, and that seems to have improved quite substantially in the second quarter. Is that likely to hold through for the rest of the year as well?
Yes, you are very right. First quarter execution was a real challenge, and the numbers also showed the same. Second quarter, we have improved significantly. Third quarter, I can see a further improvement, and if all goes well, we should end up the third quarter at a number which is around 15 to 20% more than last year's sales revenue, and that trend should continue throughout the year for the balance part of the year as well.
Okay, 15 to 20% growth. So, and you're saying on an improved margin, right? We're seeing 6.7 odd percent in the second quarter, and you're saying the input cost benefit that you have gotten is yet to play out. What's the kind of headroom that you see on the margins, sir?
You see, last year, if you talk about the EBITDA, we almost touched double digits. We did an EBITDA margin of 9.3%. So I see at least 200 basis point growth in EBITDA. If we get a 20% increase in the sales revenue when we end the year, and so the margins will be pretty good as we increase our sales numbers, because our fixed costs are. Once we recover our fixed costs, then whatever we do and we take care of the variable cost at a certain point of time, everything else converts into margin. And of course, the various other factors, various other things that we are monitoring, like the inventory, like the trade receivables. So they will also add, plus the rationalization of the material to bring down the material cost, our focus on design. So all this will contribute to a healthier margin.
Okay. My last question has to do with capability, and that also is tied to execution. You say it's going to improve over the course of the remainder of the financial year. Based on the trajectory of order wins that you're getting, and it seems to be quite substantial, do you have to add capability, add capacity, and what's the plan there? What's the Capex for the current year?
You are very right. Capability in terms of the machinery as well as the skill sets, that is the manpower or the human resource or the human capital. So we are working at both the ends. As far as Capex is concerned, initially we started with the infusion of around 5% of our last year's revenue as Capex, which we have further enhanced to almost the same number, a little short of the initial number. The Capex right now is around 350 crores. And if all goes well, we'll be further enhancing the Capex by around 50% in the coming year. As far as the human capital is concerned, we have identified the skill sets, the gaps in the skill sets, which are required for growth and which are required for our diversification efforts, as well as consolidating our existing portfolios. So, in fact, we have come out with a recruitment plan for various positions in research and development, in marketing, in business development, in purchase, in production. Not only that, we are also taking people on fixed tenure basis. We are taking retired army people to help us for the execution of our defense orders. So it's a complete basket of human capital resource enhancement initiatives that we have embarked upon. And I'm sure with these efforts and with the capex that we are trying to infuse, the next 2 to 3 years at least, we'll be comfortable in our growth plans. But yes, we'll be doing more of human capital investment in the coming years so that we can also implement our strategies for diversification into inorganic areas as well as further organic growth areas.
Just a couple of follow-ups to that then. 350 crores you're saying was a capex for this year, right? FY24?
Yeah.
So therefore, would I be right in saying that 500 plus crore is expected for FY25?
It will not be 500 plus, it will be around 500, maybe a little less than 500.
Okay. And
depending upon the need and this capex, the capex that we are going to infuse this year as well as the next year, it should see us through for the next 5 years at least.
Okay. And the last question had to do with the manpower additions that you're doing and the strategies that you're employing. Would you say that there would be a sizable shift in the profile of cost, or do you think that as a percentage of sales it will remain more or less constant?
It will remain more or less constant. Maybe in absolute terms it will go up. As a percentage of sales, since the sales will also go up, it should remain constant.
Fair point. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time and for speaking to BQ Prime. And I look forward to our next chat. Wish you and the team a very, very happy and prosperous new Samvat.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, viewers, there you have it. The management of BEML speaking to BQ Prime. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up in just a bit.